Good morning, everyone. Very warm welcome to you all. Thank you very much for joining me today. And thank you to Laura for the introduction. Now, whilst I speak to you today as a government minister, I've got to tell you I am 30 years a businessman, 9 months in government, and hopefully not a politician. And I'll talk to you about somebody who's been involved in the internet, in e-commerce for a fairly good part of that 30 years. It's about 1998, I recall almost this very day, I was heavily involved in launching FreeServe, which some of you may know. It was a company that within 12 weeks had 1 million customers. It floated for $1.5 billion 8 months later. And that goes to show what the internet can do and what some of the promises that may be available from it. Now, I'm absolutely delighted to be in Birmingham. This is a great trade show. It's the 4th largest trade show in the whole of the UK. And it's wonderful to see all of the really creative exhibitors around here. This is actually the ideal occasion to launch UK Trade and Investment's e-exporting programme. So why are we doing this? Well, maybe it's best to start with something about the market. Now, when you read the newspapers every single day, you read about how the UK is falling behind. It's funny, I used to work with a colleague, and he said when he first came to live in the UK, he thought that the UK's national sport was football. But after a year in the UK, he actually discovered it was lagging. And I said, what do you mean it's lagging? He said, well, every time I read a newspaper, the UK is lagging. And it's true, whenever you read, we're not very good at things, including, apparently, e-commerce. So, with all this negativity, I guess you might be very surprised about which country Boston Consulting Group says is number 2 in the internet in the whole world. Which country is number 2 in the whole world? South Korea. The UK is number 1. We're in a great position. And it's not just the internet generally, e-commerce in particular. Do you know that e-commerce sales in the UK are twice Germany's? In fact, more than twice Germany's. I'm giving them a bit of a leg up there. We're the number 1 country in e-commerce sales per head. Ahead of the US, ahead of Japan, ahead of South Korea, number 1 per head in the world. We've got more leading e-commerce brands per head of population than any other country in the world. So you know the brands. You know the ASOS's, you know how Tesco's are doing. There are Net-a-Porter, so many companies that are doing really well. What about exports in e-commerce? Well, we export more than the whole of Europe combined via e-commerce. And finally, this is the last one I'm going to give you. The UK has the largest trade surplus in e-commerce of any country in the world, the largest trade surplus. So we're doing pretty well. It's a great base. But we're only just starting. This is an enormous opportunity. And the UK is in the lead today. And it gives us nothing more than the base to grab what will be a multi-billion pound opportunity. Give you a couple of other statistics. It's a market which already, of course, has been growing in PC and laptops, but mobile technology, and you go around, you see it, mobile technology is an enormous growth area. And smart mobile devices have been really exploding. In fact, I only just have to look around today to see how much smart mobile devices are exploding. But here's the thing. In India and China this year, there'll be more new smartphones than there will be babies born in the whole world. That's how much it's exploding. And that's going to mean billions of customers around the world. And that's a real opportunity for British business. And the great thing is, it's British business of all size. Exporting around the world used to be something only big businesses did. We want to see medium-sized businesses do it. We want to see small businesses do it. And it's really possible. And this is why we're launching this initiative. And you can do it directly, but also you can do it via e-marketplaces. And e-marketplaces are the fastest growing area for sales, both B2C and business to business. And of course, you're familiar with e-marketplaces. Virtually all of you, I'm sure, will have shopped at Amazon and eBay, and I know we've got some eBay people here. But it's not just these names. E-marketplace exists around the world. And if you are in countries such as Japan and China, etc., you'll know, of course, Alibaba, Rakuten, you'll know in South America, Mercado Libre, Tajuri, you'll know a lot of these companies. They are national, they are regional, they are international, they are global. And we're going to help you in UK trade and investment to develop these opportunities. And our goal is simple. It's to try and help companies in the UK expand that global reach. Now that may be as a standalone in one of these e-commerce areas, or it may be in additional traditional models, whether they be stores, distributors, traditional relationships. But for many companies in the UK, e-commerce represents the best, simplest and first way to enter a new market. And we want to help these companies to do so. So what are we actually doing? Well, UKTI's e-exporting program will deliver an enhanced and new suite of services for UK companies. It will include tailored advice specifically aimed at online opportunities for businesses that are ready to export. And not all will be, but so many UK companies are ready to export. They've got the products, they've got the capabilities, they just need the help. And it's going to be practical support and advice that will take exporters through every stage of the e-commerce journey. It will leverage UKTI's resource. Both are experts in the UK, and we have a really large number of regional advisors who are experts in e-commerce. They're all around the UK, helping companies all around. But also, we have people in more than 100 countries around the world. And it's also working together with industry. I'm really, really proud of the way that UK companies come together to help other companies. And that's exactly what we'll be drawing on, that knowledge and making sure that they spread the message. And I'm delighted that today we've got more than 100 trade associations and leading e-experts here, many of them indeed in this room. So can I ask all of you, absolutely all of you, small businesses, industry associations, e-expert, spread the message about what the UK can do and spread the message how UK trade and investment can help you. And we'll be going around the world. We'll be delivering digital showcases of British products at the flagship events, the great events we hold all around the globe. We'll be marketing the UK and our e-commerce capability. We're also building a knowledge bank, a data bank, that can advise companies on the more than 400 of the world's largest e-marketplaces. We don't think anyone else in the world has done that, but we're entering into cooperation agreements with them, with a number of them, to make it easier for UK companies to hit the ground running. For example, I mentioned Alibaba before, and many of you will be aware, and you've heard the amazing numbers in their flotation. Their business to consumer site is Tmall. And when the Prime Minister and I visited China a few months ago, we signed a special MOU with Alibaba and Tmall, with Jack Ma, who's the founder of Alibaba, to give UK companies a special route onto Alibaba. And already we've seen more than 100 companies take that up. Many, many well-known UK brands. And I'll give you an example of one of them, just one story of a reasonably small company. Many of you may have heard of Tangle Teezer. It's the UK firm that sells the best-selling detangling hairbrush. I use it myself, obviously, quite substantially. Well, we helped them get online, and they have tripled their sales. Tripled their sales. That's an amazing performance. And within a week of launching in China, it had 6,000 followers online in China alone. An amazing transformation in that business. And there are so many of these stories and so many possibilities. But we're also working it's not just a government thing, we're working with real experts in industry. These are companies that can support online sales through logistics, creative advice, banking, marketing, applications, etc. And you'll hear later from one of these, Dan Wagner. So that'll be companies like Royal Mail, Power.com, Channel Advisor and Google, British Retail Consortium, IORMA, and they're all working with us to help British companies succeed around the globe. And if you are a small business and you're asking, how can you get help? Well, there's a few stands here for a start. But also, go to ukti.gov.uk, but you can see particularly our e-exporting site, gov.uk/e-exporting. That's where information is available and where you can get in touch with us. So, as I said, in a few moments I'll pass you over to Dan to hear about his work to internationalise British brands. But if I can end with just one message. The web over the last 20 years has changed things so much. The next 20 years is going to be even more exciting and even bigger. And we believe the UKTI's e-exporting programme really builds on this trend. It builds on what the UK is good at, and it brings together a real opportunity for the UK. Now, I travel around the world a lot. My wife will tell you a lot. And UK products I hear all around the world are held in such high regard. We're considered to be innovative, design-led, and actually, yeah, a bit cool. And that represents a huge opportunity. So it's our duty. If the world agrees that British products are great, let's take them to the world. Thanks very much. Dan, over to you.
Thank you. It's a great honour. It's a great honour to be here and to speak after Lord Livingston. And I come from a very different background and perspective in terms of how I've seen Britain and technology develop in allowing retailers and brands to exploit technology. My story started 30 years ago. Actually, to the year certainly, and about only a few months apart from today. I used to work in an advertising agency, and the great technical innovation back then was a fax machine. This extraordinary device could take an image, that you just sort of write on a bit of paper, and you put it in the machine, as we all know. Seconds later, it would appear on a similar machine in Australia or in New York or pretty much anywhere in the world. And at that time, that innovation was quite extraordinary. The basis upon which a fax machine works is using the telecoms network to stream data from one machine to another. Pretty much the same architecture that we use today for internet, e-commerce, and pretty much everything we do online. I was so amazed and in awe of this technology development and the implications it had that I left my job in advertising in 1984 and set up one of the earliest e-commerce businesses, an online information business, where I aggregated content from newspapers and trade journals and put it in a sort of database to allow people to access it and get information. Back in those days, just to put it into context, a computer was, the size of this podium, and you had to attach it with a Bakelite telephone to a spongy plunge thing, which was called a data coupler, and dial the number and connect to another machine somewhere else in the world. And you would watch the data tick across the screen. Maybe it took about 10 minutes for a paragraph of text to come over. So, I've seen how the technology has developed over the years to the state that we see today with a mobile phone and video and images coming over in a flash. So it's been quite an extraordinary journey. Back in the mid-80s, we had to develop our own e-commerce technologies because there wasn't the sort of applications that you can just buy off the shelf today. We had to build the technologies to take payment and be able to take payment in markets all over the world. And over the late 80s, we saw Sir Tim Berners-Lee present the concept of the World Wide Web by changing the complex methods that we were using to www, and we started to use that in 1992, and then Amazon, of course, opened their doors 11 years after I started my business with the first proper, well-architected e-commerce platform. Today, of course, we live in a very, very different world. The access to technologies to open up an e-commerce site to serve customers in Germany, France, Spain, Italy, China, Japan, or indeed anywhere, is literally, in often cases, it's free to set up and a small charge on the sales you generate to deliver. It's so easy that you can do it from a flat in Solihull. Within about half an hour, you can set up a site to trade in a local market anywhere in the world. This is an astonishing development, an incredible move forward for all of us as business people wishing to reach a market that is vastly bigger than the boundaries of the United Kingdom. You know, the market outside the UK, you can't even comprehend the size. I was astonished to learn, and I should have known this earlier, but I was astonished to learn recently when we did a launch in Jakarta that Indonesia has a population of over 200 million people. That's the size of the United States. I had no idea. But just think about that one market, vastly bigger than the United Kingdom, which you can reach that market by popping up an e-commerce site or sitting on an e-marketplace within half an hour of having this chat here. And potentially start selling to those customers. I mean, it's an extraordinary capability and something that everybody in this country should be doing actively with their businesses to reach those audiences. And the amazing thing is, it's possible, and it's possible to do at virtually no cost. The cost only on the delivery of the goods. It wasn't that long ago where if you wanted to sell something in Jakarta, you had to load up a bus or a truck and ship it across to, you know, multiple continents and set up some store out there. And all of those complexities and difficulties and barriers have now gone. And the ability to reach that market, or any market indeed, is literally the flick of a switch and a few movements with your mouse. But I think there's something very exciting. If I look back over the 30 years that I've been in e-commerce, the most exciting thing that's happening, and Lord Livingston mentioned it before, is this device that we have in our phone. I was astonished to hear that actually there's going to be more of these phones being produced today than babies being born. Well, that obviously leads to the inevitable conclusion that every baby on the planet is going to have lots of smartphones, which I think is a wonderful thing, as they have lots of different people they want to reach at the same time and so on. But in all seriousness, this device that we carry in our pockets has the most incredible power. And what's happening now is that the whole retail and commerce marketplace is being turned on its head. This is a revolution far bigger and far more important than the introduction of the personal computer. And the reason it's so important is because this device is my marketplace. As a consumer, I don't need to go from here over to a retail store in New Street or somewhere to buy something. I can just go over there with a cup of coffee and make that purchase. I can make that purchase from a retailer in Birmingham, or I can make that purchase from a retailer in the United States or anywhere. And that means that the point of sale that we've known of in the past, the place that we go to make a payment to buy a product, is no longer a place that you go visit. It's with you. The point of sale is inverse. The change is that a consumer is a point of sale. It's an extraordinary concept. It means that anybody, anywhere, sitting on a train, a bus, at home, or indeed anywhere, can place an order and buy something with this device in their pocket. And that means that as brands and retailers, we can reach these consumers at any time of the day or night, anywhere on the planet. I think it's fantastic that the British government and UKTI have started this incredible effort to build awareness around exporting using the digital infrastructure, because it's all there for us today. We don't need to do very much to leverage that infrastructure. And the smart brands and the smart retailers around the world that take advantage of that can expand their businesses in multiple terms because of the huge market potential outside the boundaries of the United Kingdom. It's also important to mention that some markets outside the UK are more adept and more familiar in using mobile devices or using the web to place orders. We're seeing the UK as a very fast adopter in Western Europe. But in Asia, we see similar metrics around consumer behavior of interacting with e-commerce. The boundaries have blurred, the opportunity is far greater, and it's wonderful to be here today, part of this great initiative, this great awareness building effort. And I hope that everybody recognizes the opportunity, embraces it, leverages it, and we will see this country and this Great Britain, this great exporting initiative, boost the economy dramatically over the coming years. Thank you very much.